while their fans watched the season like this, peeking through their fingers like it was a slasher movie.
Humans play the game. They don't have to officiate the game. The humans drive the cars in the Indy 500, but there's not a human that's saying who crossed the finish line first.
If you were a Yankee, would you have shaved your beard for George Steinbrenner?
Of course.
100%.
Oh, of course. Yeah, anything for this team.
Yeah, I'd shave everything off for George Steinbrenner.
Major League Baseball has a girlfriend that lives in the Niagara Falls area. You wouldn't know her.
And now, a man who told Brandy she was a fine girl, Ricky Cobb.
Oh yeah, and welcome, you sweet bastards. It's a Friday morning here in Chicago. I'm Ricky Cobb, and this is the Ricky Cobb Show. Don't forget, you sweet bastards, to like, comment, and subscribe. This is a show by the people, for the people. It's populism as a talk show. So get in there, comment, let us know what you think. Join our community. That's just the way we like it. In today's program, Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James, the feud gets very personal. Stephen A. with some comments that many are saying have crossed a line. We're going to talk about that today. And former Rangers and Mets manager Bobby Valentine will join me to talk about the start of the 2025 Major League Baseball season, as well as some highlights from his playing and managerial days. But let's begin with Major League Baseball being underway, and a hat tip to Bob Uecker, Christian Yelich, Milwaukee Brewers player who formed a very special relationship with Bob Uecker, honoring Uecker, wearing the blazer there. Christian Yelich came into the stadium thinking, I must be in the front row. I must be in the dugout, is what he had to be thinking in that sweet blazer right there. The first Major League Baseball season in 75 years that we haven't had either Vin Scully or Bob Uecker in the booth. Think about that. Pretty wild. 75 years. We had at least one of them covering the game of baseball. Uecker, Super Sky Point, you are missed, and you will be in our hearts throughout this season and beyond. Things not so warm and fuzzy, however, for Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, as he sat down with ESPN's Chris Russo to talk about where things exactly broke down between the worldwide leader and Major League Baseball. Obviously, ESPN has a long and extensive history of bringing you MLB action. This is the last year that we're going to see it, at least for some time. And it's left a bit of a bad taste in the commissioner's mouth. Let's listen.
Were you surprised? Were you keeled over when ESPN said they were going to opt out of the contract? Or did you see it coming?
Well, I didn't have to see it. I could read it. I mean, there were leaks going back a year. Unfortunate that was the mode of communication, but, it was pretty...
So nobody from ESPN picked up the phone and said, Rob, this is what we're thinking about, and that bothers you?
Well, eventually it got to the point that they told us what they were thinking, but we had been reading leaks for over a year before that phone call took place, and that's unfortunate. It did not help the conversations. Look, there was a level of dissatisfaction on our part. It started, with the end of baseball tonight. I think if you watch ESPN, and I do, where we appear on SportsCenter in the morning. There were issues.
Hey, I can answer that better than anybody. We only did one segment today on opening day, Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
So if anybody can mention it, you're talking to me.
Yeah, and look, there was a level of dissatisfaction with that. Having said that, did we want to be partners with him? Yes, but taking less money.
Not going to happen.
And look, I'll say this publicly because I said it to them. They stepped up for the NBA. They stepped up for football, stepped up for this one. And to come back to us and say, we want to cut you,
That's a good point, Rob. So you felt hurt.
Yeah.
You felt hurt. To be fair, the sport felt hurt.
Yeah, we felt like we were being treated in a way.
Disrespectfully.
Yeah.
Rob Manfred sounding a little bit like Lindsey Buckingham there when he wrote, "You can go your own way." Breakups never end up so great, do they? Otherwise, they wouldn't be breakups. Rob Manfred upset, at least tipping his cap to ESPN, saying that they promise that they're going to finish up strong with this 2025 season. Do you think they're going to finish as strong as this? You want to talk about forces of nature, earth, wind, fire, Bob Gibson's wind-up and delivery. You wonder how a man had a 1.12 ERA in a season? Take a look at that. That is not how they teach it. If you watch Major League Baseball these days, you're not going to find any guys who are finishing like that. But it worked pretty well. Bob Gibson once saying, "Do you know what it feels like to throw a ball 100 miles an hour?" He said, "Everything hurts. Even your ass hurts." And I'll take his word for it as a man who has hit 65 on the gun at Dave & Buster's. It hurt my ass and every other part of me. I can't imagine what 100 miles an hour does to you. I can't imagine what it does to batters. Take a look at this. The next time that you see your favorite team's starting pitcher leave after 4 or 5 innings, and you have a parade of relievers come in, 7 guys combining on a game, take a look at what Bob Gibson did in June and July of 1968. 12 starts, 12 complete games, 12 wins. Are you sensing a pattern? 8 shutouts. Well, we've caught him slacking. What's wrong, Bob? 4 times you let the other team score. A total of 6 runs allowed in those 12 starts. 0 concerns about his pitch count. Now, if guys go 5 innings, they throw a party for them. I remember when the quality start became a thing. A minimum of 6 innings pitched and no more than 3 earned runs allowed. And people said, well, 6 innings and 3 runs allowed, the minimum qualification, that's a 4.50 ERA. That's terrible. That's not any good. How can that be a quality start? Hey, listen. You go 6 innings a game now, you're the fucking leader of the pack. We had 4 pitchers last year who threw 200 innings. Do the math. 34 starts, 6 innings a start. It'll get you there. Nobody's doing it nowadays. The focus is on relief pitchers, and I would suggest that the New York Yankees' prized new closer, Devin Williams, brace himself for what New York fans are like. You're not in Milwaukee anymore. Yesterday, Joe Buck returning to the booth to call the Yankees-Brewers game, his first time calling Major League Baseball since the end of the 2021 season. Left Fox, went to ESPN, focusing on football, Monday Night Football. Back in the booth, at least for a game. And Devin Williams greeted in the Bronx with a chorus of boos when he came into a 4-1 ball game and promptly loaded the bases. This is a guy who has a 183 career earned run average. He had a 125 ERA last year. The Yankees went out, traded for him, brought him in. He's pitching against his old Brewers teammates. And he found out real quickly what it's like to be a New York Yankee. You can't make any mistakes, Devin, or they're going to be all over your ass, as so many have found out in the past. Welcome to New York. Did you hear Alicia Keys singing when you came out for the 9th inning? In Queens, the Mets are all excited. Obviously, the Juan Soto era is upon us, and Juan Soto going down on strikes to end the game for the Mets in his first game. The Juan Soto era, not off to the start that anybody would have scripted if we were writing it for Hollywood, but as Bob Dylan once said, tomorrow is a long time. He's got 15 years to figure it out, and earn his money. Ice Cube drove a hoopty onto the field at Dodger Stadium and delivered the Dodgers World Series trophy to them. Well, that's the way to do it. I guess it was a good day, huh? Los Angeles, with Cube coming out. Baltimore Orioles outfielder Tyler O'Neill continues to write his name into history. An opening day home run for O'Neill. He is now homered 6 opening days in a row. How about that? And here in Chicago, Cubs win. Cubs win. Well, it didn't happen in Chicago, but we'll take the win. We won. What did happen here in Chicago is the White Sox, who damn near set a record for futility last year, going 41 and 121 while their fans watched the season like this, peeking through their fingers like it was a fucking slasher movie. They came out and beat the Angels no problem yesterday. In fact, the Angels using a position player to pitch the 9th inning because the White Sox were up 8-0 on them. All right, boys. We said the over-under yesterday on this program, the lowest in at least 35 years. 53.5. If you win 54 games, you're going to hit the over. I was talking to OutKick's Ian Miller yesterday. I said, Ian, can they win 54? He said, I'm not so sure that I like the over. Well, now you need 53 more. First time over 500 in 2 years. Jerry Reinsdorf popped the champagne. My friend, let me now bring in a man who never drinks champagne. Well, maybe on rare occasion. He's almost a teetotaler, this guy. He is, of course, the role model to millions of children around the world. The international streaming star joins me now from Nashville, Tennessee. I speak, of course, of Ronnie T-shirts. Ronnie, baseball season's underway. And this year, I feel like you're going to pay closer attention to baseball.
I promised that I would.
And since you were listening to Marty Brenneman and Joe Nuxall on the radio as a kid.
I promised you. It's my commitment to you. It's a commitment to the show. It's a commitment to the people all around the world that want to know what I think about baseball.
They're counting on you, Ron, is what it is. They're counting on you. Let's start with Rob Manfred. What do you think about ESPN cutting ties with Major League Baseball after so many years? And Rob sounded a little bit like a hurt girlfriend there.
Yeah, I mean, again, how many times have I said the market speaks, right? Like, clearly ESPN didn't see it as a wise investment, so I don't know. What are they supposed to do? Just keep giving them money for welfare because he doesn't want to hurt baseball's feelings? I don't know. I don't know, Rob. Put a better product on the field? I don't know. Like, I don't know. What are you supposed to do in that situation? It just sounded, it was just kind of weird listening to him. Like, he knows it's a business, right? Like, they would give him the money.
Look, Manfred extolling Major League Baseball as being a great investment and business partner for someone else. You know, but again, if that's really how you feel, then I don't know. Maybe just cinch up your big boy pants and move on and find a better partner.
Well, our partners knocking down the door, like potential partners knocking down the door to replace ESPN. I mean, I don't know. Like, well, I mean, haven't we talked about this before? Interested. But
Fox might be interested. Look, Rob Manfred has a girlfriend. Major League Baseball has a girlfriend that lives in the Niagara Falls area. You wouldn't know her.
I have a girlfriend in Canada. I have in Canada.
Yeah. You wouldn't know.
But haven't we discussed this before, Ricky? I mean, isn't the truth that of all, like, it's such a regional sport now, like the, you know, other than some really big stories or some marquee players, I mean, does anybody really care about, you know, the Cincinnati Reds outside of Cincinnati, and does anybody really care about the Kansas City Royals outside of
Tim, just get in here. Tim, get in here.
Oh,
I'm sending out the bat signal.
You refuting me? Is he going to refute me?
Well, he's refuting you in my ear, and I'm not as eager to refute as Tim is. So I'm going to defer the remainder of my time to the gentleman from New Jersey or wherever the fuck you live, Tim.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Well, Ron, look, a couple things. Obviously, the playoffs are a big win for baseball. To your larger point, has it become regional? Yes. But Manfred, later on in that same interview, was very quick to point out big demo in Hispanic, very wide, very diverse audience for baseball. Yes, look, the biggest strike against baseball is that it's old. But even ESPN and some of their ratings releases, and Manfred again referenced this, you're seeing some increase, some growth. Like there is definitely the tide seems to have turned. Certainly, baseball playoffs are hotter than they've been in quite a while. Are they attracting the 20 to 30 million audience? No. But look, I think there's plenty of suitors. Just look at what's going on, with Amazon and with other things here. Fox, by the way, Ron, massive investment in baseball. They are going to run right through the door here, get the national game of the week. I don't think it's as dire as it used to be for baseball anyway. Is it regional? Yes, but there's clearly money to be made, and I think that's where Manfred's point was. Like, hey, you stepped up for everybody else, and now you're telling us our product's worth less. So, be interesting to see what takes place this year. Again, Fox ratings I know were up, certainly for postseason last year as well. Thank you, sir. I reserve the remainder and balance of my time to the kind gentleman from Illinois.
All right, we are not following parliamentary procedure. I'm pretty sure that, what is it, Robert's Rules of Order? Is that what they follow? I don't know. That's what we always followed in my work meetings back at the college. Tim, before you pop back off into the ether, tell me about what you were doing out at Yankee Stadium, the fun that you're having. I'm being told, people are saying, what's it going to take for me to shave? Take me through the fun that you were having on opening day, my brother.
The chair recognizes the kind production assistant, Sean, from the great state of New York, and Isaac from the great state of New York, Jersey, I believe. You'll take a look here. So Isaac and Sean headed up to the Bronx. A lot of talk about the new facial hair policy for the Yankees. And these guys had the chutzpah to go up to a couple of folks and say, "Hey, can I shave your beard?" So it's a fun little clip here if you wanna give a listen and we can react. But yeah, would you shave for the New York Yankees, Ricky? We can roll it.
That's an easy no. That's an easy no for me. But maybe the tape will change my mind.
Here we go.
See.
The New York Yankees updated their facial hair policy this year in 2025. We're going to see how fans feel. Are they happy with the new woke Yankees allowing players to grow beards? Or are they upset in favor of tradition? How do you feel about the venerable George Steinbrenner's no beard policy being repealed this year?
Terrible. I like tradition. I think they should have stayed with the no beard, no facial hair. Let them grow their beards.
It was an antiquated policy. It was stupid. I think it's a little soft.
I don't want no ZZ Top beard.
Why? It's a stupid rule. It's a fucking dumbass rule by George or Hal or whoever the fuck the owner is.
If you were a Yankee, would you have shaved your beard for George Steinbrenner?
Of course.
100%.
Oh, of course. Yeah, anything for this team.
Yeah, I'd shave everything off for George Steinbrenner. I would have done anything for George.
Fuck no.
Nah, I ain't shaving my beard for George Steinbrenner. Not at all. I've been growing my beard for years, and nobody gonna make me change.
Absolutely not.
How much money you gonna give me?
Do you have Aaron Judge money to give me?
George would have cut you, and George would have cut you. Would you like to shave right now to honor George Steinbrenner?
No. Absolutely not.
No.
No, I wouldn't. No.
Hell no.
You wouldn't do it?
Nah.
All right.
It would be disrespectful to my barber, who I just saw this morning.
Woo! We shaving it now if I say yes?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh, no. The tone always changes when the Clippers come out.
Yeah.
Sure. That's for George.
George needs me to do it. I'm in.
For George.
Problem. Anything for the Yankees.
Anything for George, right?
Anything for George or my Yankees, right? I would sacrifice myself for all these people.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard pass for me.
Did they sanitize those Clippers?
Although
He actually got guys to shave, though.
Four of those fans have AIDS now, Ron.
Oh, Jesus.
Is the sad
I was going,
aftermath
Ricky,
of
I was
this.
going with lice, but you just took it to another level.
Well, all right, I've got my Yankee fan power rankings here. I was taking notes on this. That was good shit, first of all. I commend the work that was done there. Championship belt guys coming in number
amazing.
3.
That was amazing.
In my power rankings. Any man that goes to a game with a championship belt. Number 2, the guy who used the word antiquated. 65% of Yankees fans reaching for their fucking dictionary on that one to communicate with this. We found the guy with the big brain there at the stadium. And then my favorite, number 1, the guy who said I'd shave anything off for George
That was going to be
Steinbrenner.
mine, Ricky.
It's
I'd shave it all. Yep.
It's like, would you do a landing strip for George Steinbrenner?
Dorito chip.
What would you? I don't know. Would you get a Brazilian wax for George Steinbrenner?
Fully manscaped for the
Dorito
pinstripes.
Good Lord! I'd shave my
balls
undercarriage for George Steinbrenner. What is going on here? The
Good stuff. I
loyalty
will say really
these
quickly, it
Yankees
was
fans.
noticeable as a Yankee fan yesterday. Definitely noticeable behind the plate, seeing a catcher, first time since Munson having facial hair. Whether it was a stupid policy or not, as you guys know in this program, several vets, including Johnny Damon, shaved it all to go back to Legends Field. So
Yeah.
there's something to it for sure.
All right, well, there was something to what the Alabama Crimson Tide did to Brigham Young. No more tater tots for free. You're going to have to go to the store and pay for your Oritas now. 25 threes dropped by the Crimson Tide on the Mormons.
Yeah, they
I'm
almost
sure
shot
they're not all
50%.
Mormons anymore, Ron.
They almost
Yeah,
shot
it
50%.
breaks the existing NCAA record. Ron, do you know whose record they broke? This is a walk down memory lane.
Valparaiso.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's a good guess or not. I didn't see a Valpo guess coming in. Loyola Marymount, 1990. They beat defending champion Michigan. Ron, here's a chance to shit on Michigan.
Yes.
See how I worked this into the show for you?
Yes,
Look
my
at me
man.
being your wingman. They beat Michigan 149-115. Jeff Fryer and Bo Kimball. Remember that era? Hank Gathers,
Yep.
shout out to Paul Westhead's Loyola Marymount crew who came along in 1990. Suddenly they were putting up video game numbers. Remember that? You'd just be like, the scores would come in on ESPN and you'd be like, what the fuck? Loyola Marymount scored 138 points tonight? They were running and gunning, man. They were shooting it in the first, 5-7 seconds they had the ball. Every possession. Crazy fun to watch that team.
I'm not sure if you were going to bring this up or not, but did you see how many points the Pacers scored last night in regulation?
162?
Come on, dude. 162 points. That's how do you do that?
You know, I'll tell you how you do it. No defense is not legal in the NBA anymore, and everybody can carry the ball and travel 7 times on their way to the basket.
But it's 162, Ricky. It's 162.
I don't care if it's 162. Look at this. Look at the scores in the NBA. Look at every team. Every night,
Right.
it's
I'm gonna pull it up real
130-120. 130-120 every night in this fucking shitty league where guys are carrying the ball around. You know, I talk about three-pointers being the scourge. It's also the fact that somebody travels on goddamn near every possession in the NBA. All of the walking going on. Watch a Morant highlight reel sometime and watch this motherfucker walk every other time that he has the basketball. I'm not saying that they aren't fabulously talented players, but we're not playing the game as it's called by the rule book anymore, and they certainly have taken away defense. You don't see guys fighting to get to the fucking basket like Michael Jordan used to. Michael Jordan would get assaulted every time he went into the paint. Michael Jordan adroitly splits through a couple of assholes. And James Edwards, my Facebook friend, who is a nice guy. I don't know James Edwards, but on my birthday last year, he left a happy birthday on my wall. Do you know what a pick-me-up that is for your day, to wake up on your birthday and you just randomly have a happy birthday, Ricky, from the great James Edwards? He was the guy. You know, John Sally was cool. I've always liked John Sally. Vinnie Johnson, the microwave, but Isaiah and Lambeer, major assholes. You know what? We haven't had a lot of good moments in Chicago Bulls basketball in the entire time that I've lived here. Jordan left the Bulls in '98, retired. The comeback with Washington is like Rocky V to me. I just like to make a deal with myself that I pretend that it didn't happen. His career ended with the shot against the Jazz and the pose.
Byron Russell. Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. Exactly. But that was '98. I've been in Chicago since 2003. The best it's ever gotten for us was the D Rose, Noah era that we had here. We had some teams with Ben Gordon and Luol Deng back in the aughts. We've had some teams that were respectably decent, but we haven't scared any championships. So we take our excitement where we can get it. But last night, did you see Josh Giddey hit a half-court shot to beat LeBron and the Lakers at the United Center last night? Straight up, full-on half-court shot. They were down 117-116, and he fucking drained a 50-footer to beat LeBron. Stephen A. probably popped a boner when that happened.
That shot was amazing, Ricky, but to get to that shot with 12 seconds left, they were down 15-10, made a three, like Reggie Miller stole the inbounds pass, made another
LeBron's
three.
lazy
inbounds
pass
and then
LeBron.
Austin Reeves goes down and he scores to put them up. Mm-hmm. And then he hits that half court. It was, I've never in 12 seconds.
12 seconds.
And the LA scored it too. Like they outscored them 9-2 in the last 12 seconds. It was insane.
Yeah, that's the best regular season win for the Chicago Bulls probably in
they acted like they won the championship.
10 years anyway. Well, that is our championship. That's as good as it's
hang a banner
anytime soon.
Hang a banner?
Yeah, and hang a banner and then let Disturbed come in and have their pyrotechnics ruin it. Apparently, our banners
that's known as a callback in the business.
It is. It is, in fact. Puka Nacua, Ron, the Los Angeles Rams fine receiver, is saying that he might like to retire by the time he's 30. And here you see 24-year-old Puka Nacua says he wants to retire by 30. He says, I know I want to retire at the age of 30. I think of Aaron Donald to go out on top. I think it would be super cool, but also I want to have a big family. I want to have at least the starting five. Puka, do I need to go in and sit down with him and tell him what happens when you have 5 children? I've got a starting 5. I also have 2 full-time jobs and I'm broke. Think about it, Puka. I come from a big family, he says. I don't know. I'm trying to read the rest of his quote. It's not there anymore. He wants to retire by the time that he's 30. Well, we do have some precedents for this. Sandy Koufax retired when he was 30, but he had arthritis in his elbow. So that's not exactly a voluntary retirement at the top of the game. I can think of a couple of running backs who did it, Ron.
Jim Brown.
Maybe 2 of the 3 or 4 best ever. Jim Brown did it. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Here's a recent tweet of mine. Jim Brown led the NFL in rushing 8 times in 9 years. Retired at 29 to go make movies with Telly Savalas and Raquel Welch. When I was 29, and this isn't a joke, well, it's barely a joke. When I was 29, I wasn't even sure what the fuck I wanted to do with my life yet. I wasn't 100% sure. I got my bachelor's degree when I was 29, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do with it. It took me 6 months to decide I wanted to go to graduate school to become a teacher. So when I was 30, I was in graduate school getting the education that I needed to go start that career that I spent 21 years in. This guy is going to call it a day when he's 30. Barry Sanders also retired when he was 29. Barry Sanders, the only Lion that was worthy of hanging out with actual fucking lions. Look at that. Ron, you may be aware that Alexander Ovechkin, the Washington Capitals' outstanding scoring machine, is closing in on Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. He's at 889 goals. Gretzky, 894. So, like Hank Aaron, he's chasing the big one here.
How many games are
not
left?
in the news for that.
Oh.
I'm not sure. How many games does he have left to get it, guys? Tim, tell me that if you can. He's got maybe 15.
Okay.
He might have to set on that for the offseason. We'll see. I don't know if he's going to make it or not. But he's in the news today for not that. We've had the Ovechkin goal-o-meter going this season, but Ovechkin making news for a pretty cool reason. The Capitals all waited and shook hands with the Minnesota Wild's goaltender, Marc-Andre Fleury, after the game. Watch Ovechkin. He goes and gets his teammates who are leaving after the puck game, yeah, if you will. And he has them all come back out on the ice because he wanted the entire team to go and shake hands with Fleury, who is in his 21st and final NHL season. Fleury, a future Hall of Famer, getting the respect from the entire Washington Capitals team at the insistence of Alexander Ovechkin. And the two of those have gone at it for many, many years. He has 28 regular season goals against Fleury, more than he has against any other goaltender. So I thought that was a beautiful little moment there, man. That's sportsmanship. Yep. To me, that's what it's all about. Ovechkin has 10 games left. He's going to need 5 to catch him and 6 to pass him. But a moment of class there. It is my great pleasure to welcome my guest today to the program now. He is the former manager of the Texas Rangers, New York Mets, and Boston Red Sox too for a little while. Won a Japan series in 2005 with the Chiba Latte Marines and the Pacific Coast League MVP in 1970 when he hit .340. My pleasure to welcome Bobby Valentine to the show. Bobby, how are you?
Hey, Rick, I'm good. Thanks. Good to be with you. Appreciate it, dude.
Well, thrilled to have you on. I want to get your perspective as a guy who had a long major league career and then managed even longer. You have been closely connected to the game of baseball for over a half a century, and so you're as well positioned as anyone to tackle a variety of questions. So I'm going to kind of hit you with a handful of items here, kind of a buffet. Let's start with the automated ball strike system. What do you think about this? 288 spring training games. They tested it out. Obviously, they've been working with it in the minor leagues. Based on what you have seen, how do you feel about it? And as a manager, if you were in the dugout in 2025, how would you feel about this addition that we're not going to see this year, but seems inevitable?
Well, Rick, let's get at this. Let's make it straight. Good to be with you. Games are played with rules. And the one basic rule, the one fundamental rule, the one that you can't live without is if you throw it over the plate, it's a strike. And if the ball's not over the plate, it's a ball. So why should there ever be a question of whether it's a strike or a ball? Now that we have the technology, do it all the time. That has to be the basic of baseball, that strikes are strikes and balls are balls. I think that's end of conversation. And this human element, it drives me nuts when people tell me humans play the game. They don't have to officiate the game. The humans drive the cars in the Indy 500, but there's not a human that's saying who crossed the finish line first. Let's get it right. It's 2025. And I wish somehow that the system could be implemented throughout all of baseball, all the way down to the youth leagues and the little leagues. I cry, my heart breaks when I go to a youth game and I see a pitch that's far outside with the bases loaded and 3-2 count and the umpire's call and the guy's strike three. It might change the kid's life with that call. Why not just play by the rules?
Bobby, speaking of the rules in general, we've seen a period here post-COVID, they've tinkered a lot with things that baseball was very reluctant, whether we're talking about limiting throws to first base, whether we're talking about the shift, whether we're talking about the pitch clock, making the bases bigger. Out of the changes, elimination of pitchers hitting, designated hitter in the National League, etc. Out of the changes that we have seen in recent years, which ones do you like? Are there any that you don't like? What are your thoughts overall on the current state of baseball?
Yeah, I don't mind any of them except for the runner on second base. I mean, I think that's convoluted. I don't get that one at all. He didn't earn his way on. The guy doesn't earn an RBI. The pitcher doesn't deserve to be put in that situation. He had nothing to do with it. Neither did his team. So, speeding up the game, I guess it's okay. Even though I didn't mind talking in between pitches when I went to a game. I didn't mind, pointing something out to the person that was sitting next to me, whether it was my son or a friend or whatever. Now you barely have time to take a bite out of your hot dog and the next pitch is coming and you're afraid to miss it when you reach down for your beer. So I'm not sure that, Major League Baseball couldn't just go to the players and saying, guys, we need to speed up the pace of play. Guys, we need you to get into the box a little more prudently. Guys, we need you not to walk around the mound and hold the ball for 30 seconds before you throw it. We need you to do this to implement a shot clock, a pitch clock to major league players when sometimes you actually need a blow. Sometimes if a pitcher's thrown 23 pitches and he's just backed up third base a couple times, he gets back on the mound. He needs a little time to recover, to throw his next 100-mile-an-hour pitch and not get injured. So, it's too bad it had to get to that, but it is what it is.
As we discussed yesterday on the show, LeBron James visiting with Pat McAfee and some pointed words that he had for Stephen A. Smith as their feud continues to simmer, but it may be reaching the boiling point because Stephen A. made some comments about LeBron in response to that a lot of people online feel have crossed the line. This shit, if we weren't sure before, we can be pretty sure now. This shit is indeed very personal. Let's roll tape.
I suggest that he be happy with the things that I haven't brought up. I never brought up really and never really discussed why you were not at Kobe Bryant's memorial service. I never really brought up or discussed why you did not attend Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction when that man was directly responsible for you capturing a championship for the first time in your career. I brought up none of that. I didn't bring up the fact that even though when people had asked, you had alluded to what had happened tragically to your son, and thank God he's okay with his heart condition. I didn't bring up the fact that even though you couldn't go to the Hall of Fame induction of Dwayne Wade weeks earlier, you were out of the country on business. I didn't bring that up. That's your personal business, okay? But the fact is you wasn't at the Hall of Fame induction of a brother that's going to drastically assist to you being a Hall of Famer because he helped you become the champion that you are, and he was a big brother to you. I brought up none of these things. But LeBron James, at the end of the day, wants to come at me, and he's walking around pouting. Why would he be pouting?
Well, Ron, yesterday you mostly jokingly said that you thought it was almost, professional wrestling type theatrics between these two guys. Yeah, I think now we can safely say that
not scripted.
There really is a dislike here. I mean, once you start talking about, hey, you didn't go to Kobe's funeral and you didn't go and honor Dwayne Wade who you wouldn't have won not only your first championship without, but you wouldn't have won 2 without D Wade, and you're not there. This is now we're well past basketball at this point. Once you start invoking funerals, now this takes on an entirely different complexion for me, Ron.
I just he's sitting there and he says it's like he's trying to take the high road and say, I don't do this stuff, and then he's clearly outing him on things, but not giving enough detail for us to really know. It's a kind of a punk move. It's like, I know stuff about you, and I'm going to give everybody just a little taste, a little sample of it, but I'm not going to really do it. This is just kind of a punk move. I mean, if you're gonna out him, just flat out him. Go, I hate him, and I never said this before because I know stuff about him, but I know this, and this. He's an awful person. But he's not willing to go the whole way. So kind of a punk move to me.
Yeah, Stephen A. has a bad habit of doing that. You know, like when LeBron was saying, like, you weren't going to say anything. He's like, your ass was dying to say something. LeBron has his number on that one. Stephen A., I think, is right about the issue of Bronny James and LeBron's involvement in that decision being made. I also think that Stephen A. loves it when the news cycle is about Stephen A.
Of course.
And I think that once you start bringing Kobe and a funeral into this and getting into personal stuff, as much as I don't agree with the way that LeBron has handled things with his son professionally, I'm kind of on LeBron's side now because I think Stephen A. has gone down and gotten in the gutter here, and it's hard for me to have sympathy for that.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.